done. You just got done watching The Penguin, and
I did.
you finally watched last week's, correct?
Yes, I also watched last week's, but now that I know the schedule, I
Right.
won't be messing it up.
Although tonight, I mean, I could, you know, as I am sporting here, I completely forgot that the Steelers were playing tonight and
Yeah,
was
well, you had
like,
the rain delay for the longest
"Oh, I
time.
did." I I've never been so happy to have a rain delay in my entire life because I was like, "Cool." I was like, "I'm really only gonna miss about 15, I wasn't gonna miss too much of it." But then I was like,
Right.
"Okay." And even though I'm like, I we are recording this and we're going to talk about Penguin. I am making sure that I do have my it's really bright, but my Gamecast up
Yes.
on ESPN so I can kind of hear it
There you
down the
go.
hall too, but just just keeping an eye. Right now it's not, you know, great.
It was looking not good. It was looking good in the sense that the Cowboys weren't scoring a ton, and then as soon as I muted it, I saw they started moving down the field, and now I'm annoyed.
Right? Well, let's pretend like that's not going on in the background right
Yes.
now. And so what did you think about, well, first tell me what you think about last week's? Just like
I thought
a
I
brief
thought
amount.
last week's episode was really good. You got to see Sophia really her motivations, I guess, to really put her plan in order. That even though she is a part of the family, she is an outcast
Right, an outsider in
based
that,
off
yes.
of her past and then just the high stakes with Oz and Victor trying to sneak the jewels into the car to frame the guy and then Victor getting caught and then the knife just all of that was a really good build up. And the one thing I've always enjoyed about the angle they're taking with the Penguin in this universe is the more like the reason why they changed the name from Cobblepot to Cobb is he grew up working class and
Right,
uh, he wants to be someone. You see it in this episode, not to get ahead of it,
right,
but I like the detail of him having the flashy purple car. Meanwhile, everyone who is so much richer than he is just driving like they're driving fancy cars for sure,
sure,
but it's a subtle black or white vehicle, and it goes
right,
to the whole not the meme, but the saying of rich people don't dress like they're rich,
right,
even though their polo costs like $200, but whatever. But
right.
I just I thought that's a nice touch because every episode you see a little bit more of his
Yes,
motivations and why he wants this so badly. Um,
so bad.
he wants to be recognized. Like that's, the reason why he killed the Falcon in the first episode because he was laughing at him and didn't take him seriously. So he
Right.
killed him.
Which
So
you actually kind of, I would say this new episode, again, like you said, not to get ahead, but this episode that was tonight, you get a little bit of that mindset of why that laughing would bother him so
right.
much. In his when he's talking to Victor at the restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's a really nice touch. And it goes to show why it was important for them to change the name from Cobblepot to Cobb.
right.
Because like you said, Cobblepot is so dignified and
Right.
pompous. And
Right.
his backstory is really having to work and backstab for everything he has.
Right.
And so now that he has some, he wants the respect. He wants you to know that he's rich. So he has the flashy Joker car in Gotham when every other color in the show is muted. There's a purple
Right.
Maserati flying down the street. But
Right.
I thought last week's episode was, I think there hasn't been a bad one yet. It was very suspenseful
Right.
um, with the build up in a bunch of different ways. So I
Oh,
really
it
enjoyed
stresses me. That one stressed me out so bad. And it's like, I guess kind of even this one, like I don't know if I've seen an episode yet where I haven't been just you can see whatever he's gotten himself into for this week is always going so badly. Like
Yes.
something on like can change in an instant, and you're left wondering, oh, like he's never gonna get out of it. Like, how is
He's
he
dug
gonna get out of
himself a
this?
new hole every episode. Like he killed the guy, and then I forget, but then he had to go to both families because Sophia assumed that he killed her brother because he shot those guys that were trying to steal his, purple car,
Right.
which is what she said, driving the flashy car. Then there was the drop where he ended up, the brother he had to frame at the last second to save him.
Right.
Then the drop, he was in the front car that was supposed to get shot up.
Right. It's always so
Last,
bad.
yeah, like you could just see his face. He was like, "How do I get
Every,
out of this?"
everything goes so badly, and you're just
Yeah,
like, like you on one hand, it's like you're so frustrated with him because he seems bumbling, but I I mean, like he's not, but yet he is, because it's like he's only thinking two steps ahead, and things are happening, like, and then or he's only thinking a step ahead, and he's not thinking of like two or three steps ahead of like, okay, well, what happens if this happens, or if this domino falls? Like, it's just, well, I made a decision. This is
but
what
he
we're
thinks
going.
quick enough to get himself out of those situations. So
Right.
he thinks it's okay. And it's like, dude, it is not okay
It's right.
because even like you're thinking one step ahead. And like you said, the fact that everyone else is 3 or 4 steps ahead or has much more information
Right.
than he has, like him killing the brother and trying to pass the idea off as his own, not knowing that Sophia was already a part of that.
Right.
Like there's just so much that again, he is quick on his feet, so he gets out of it. So he thinks he's fine, but it's like, but you're not fine because while you're thinking one step ahead, there are other people that are 3 steps ahead or four
Right.
steps ahead.
Now
And
something
just
else is happening because of what you just like. It's just,
exactly. Yeah.
oh,
And it's
it
just a
just
domino effect.
stresses me. I was just always like, oh my God, just like which makes it great because every episode you're almost waiting for the other shoe to fall.
Yes.
And like, you're just like, he can't stay this ahead all the time. Like, it's going to catch up with him.
Like
It's
last episode, he gets called to the prison. They find out that one of their guys got taken, and then he had to go back to the mansion and find that guy and
right.
silence that guy. And then again, that was one step ahead. And then he had to figure out how he would get out of that situation
Right.
the other way.
It's
It was very it was a lot. It was
It
a
was a
lot.
lot. And it continues to be a lot because tonight's episode, he you do find out about a little bit more about Victor at the very beginning, the opening scene. Like, that was
That was
incredible.
that so like yeah, because I don't know, maybe I missed it. You
No,
weren't
you're
supposed to know at the beginning. Okay.
that you were looking at a flashback.
Yeah.
Right.
And it took like obviously once the bomb started going off, I picked up on it. But I was like, I had to like rewind. I was like, it didn't start and say a year ago or
Mm-mm.
6 months ago or whatever.
Nope.
So I
It was
it just
incredible.
that was so good. It's sad, but
Sad. Oh, definitely sad.
perfect setup, perfect framing. Like that was just a great way to start the episode.
Yeah, because for a
It-
second there, I mean, like I said, I didn't know either that it was a flashback. And so when the water comes down, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they've done all that work and now it's flooding again. And then I'm like, oh
yes.
no, this is a flash. This is what happened. They're showing you what happened in the Batman
Yeah.
to which I kind of, oh, I, I'm blanking on kind of what else that kind of refers to, but it's, like when you're watching shows and you're watching how that one event affected different people.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah, like
Like,
that, but I mean, like, also just like a regular, like, just any kind of one of our, like, I mean, I'm, I know I'll think of it later, but it's like you watch like a singular event that happens with in it, and then like now kind of like maybe almost like a quiet place, like how like just a day one, like,
yeah.
and you seeing how like you're seeing different how that one incident now like there's different.
Yeah, like the cause and effect of it is very much
right, different parts of the city, different
Yeah.
groups of people, how it all like how it's affected them. Like, yeah, no, I thought that was it was so good. And then his panic attack later at the club involving that. And like, oh, you feel for him, but I mean, like, it's clear, not to give away any spoilers, but it's clear by the end of this episode that he is very much making a decision to stick
Yes.
with Oz
He had an out.
and a certain lifestyle that he's
Yes.
I don't know if he's grown accustomed. I you don't know if it's so much the lifestyle that he's grown accustomed to, or if it was again that talk that he had with him at the restaurant, and it was the if you know, and he even says it to him in the club, if you think you're nothing, you are nothing. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing. And yeah, I thought, like I said, that also gave you really great insight into Oz and how he's going through this entire thing and how he's handling the Falcons, you know, like Sophia, and
Yeah.
she he doesn't see himself as nothing. He sees himself as, or at least trying to convince himself and everybody around him that he's not nothing. But she consistently reminds him of you're my driver
You were
and
my driver.
you're
Ooh.
yeah. Like come on, let's do the let's pretend like it's old time. I mean like she at every chance she can knocks him down a step and reminds him that he's not in charge
Yeah.
and that he's not the
Eh,
boss. And
when he was getting excited and she was like, I'm trying to figure out which one of us wants it more. Like that
hmm
was her almost realizing, like, for someone who is working for me, for someone who is beneath me, for
right.
someone who I had tied naked to a chair a couple days ago,
Right.
you seem to be very excited about this, almost like it's your thing.
Right.
And yeah, just the constant reminders that just because I was in Arkham, I'm still
Your
to
boss.
her, yeah, and it's like it's nothing for her to make him feel that way because he's just to her she's just Oz is just another guy that she
Is in her
is
way.
having to prove herself to
Right.
because obviously like we said like they were trying to ship her to Italy like it was the Godfather like
Said, yeah, I love the line
be
of you
at
either go
war
to
with her own
Italy.
family.
Yeah, you either go to Italy or I'm going to tell everybody that that's where you're at.
Yeah, I
I
was
was
like,
like, oh, you are not long for this world, my friend.
yeah, and it's just I like seeing more of Gotham. I like seeing how that flood affected the people and why there was a power struggle, not just because of the events of the first movie as far as the
Right.
Falcons getting murdered, but just the effects of how the bombs, the devastation, the
Oh yeah.
floods, the mistrust. Because while the Riddler was the villain, he was exposing other bad people.
Right.
So
Right.
like
The
all of those
corruption
crimes
in
were
the
brought to
city.
light.
Right.
Yeah, so it was just I like seeing this, and you can see with Sophia's speech, it kind of like makes sense why people would be so anxious to find a drug that kind of distracts them. And then, the angle of it is what they gave us at Arkham. Just phenomenal writing all the way around. Like I- so when the episode started, again, first scene was amazing, but then you got a lot more screen time with Victor. There was a brief moment where I was like, "Oh, this is a Victor episode." Like, I was like,
Right.
"Is this going to be an entire flashback episode?" I don't know. Like, I'm interested in him, but I feel like I don't really
Right.
care enough about the driver. By the end of the
Right.
episode, the writing was so well done in the way that they fit it into the story that even though it was a lot of screen time for Victor and a lot of his backstory, I still cared. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of times when episodes will give you that mid-season flashback or mid-season character story. I'm just like, oh, here we go. It's a
Right.
filler episode. This wasn't a filler episode, and
No,
I
not at all.
appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about having Victor with Oz is it. it humanizes him in a way that like his mom, like the angle of his mom doesn't do. Like his mom
Yes.
definitely does, but um yeah, like Victor kind of grounds the character, especially the scene again in the restaurant where he snaps at the waiter who's trying to rush Victor through his
Yes.
stuttering. And he's like, you know, who gives a about this guy? You make him
Yeah.
wait. You make him wait until you're done, until you and like how it's how he how you can almost understand that like in his weird kind of way he cares about him deeply and sees his, like his defect, his quote unquote. I mean, I don't want to say it, but I mean, like this way Oz sees his stuttering as a disability, same way that, like he's got his foot and his, his appearance and everything like that. So he feels for the kid and he almost understand that that's, I mean, as bad as how he
I
handled
see where you're
the
going. Yeah.
scene in the club, how he did not handle that the best way.
Yes. Yes.
You can see that it probably hurt him like
For sure.
so deep, like it that like that hurt him more than like the people that are how again Sophia talks to him like you're my driver and you're nothing,
Hmm.
like the like I saw myself in you and I'm trying to give you like the better this better life and you're just gonna walk away from it, and for what, like I when he did what he did and was like I've never held, like I've never told you you couldn't leave, and I thought
Yeah.
don't think he ever you're right, I don't think he's ever told him you
Yeah.
can't leave, like maybe the first episode he might have
He
said
felt indebted to him because he did catch him trying to steal his Rams, and then he helped him move a dead body. And
right,
there's the implication that now you know too much. But
right,
and then again, when he's like, "Oh, look at the sunrise," like he was about to shoot him in the back of the head,
right.
and then he didn't. So he might feel indebted to him. But yeah, outside of maybe the first episode, he was never necessarily holding him hostage. He let him leave. He like, I mean, yeah,
Let him stay in his and stay. I mean, like it was funny, like the scene where he lets him stay in his apartment, penthouse condo, like what or his apartment,
his
whatever. And
bank
he's
vault.
like, yeah, like where he's like, and he says, if you do anything, if you even think of doing anything shady, like I'll know about it. Like
Yeah,
he's that messed up father figure for him,
very
where
much so.
he wanted to make his dad proud, and Victor wanted to make his dad proud, and that was the whole reason behind him wanting to leave.
Right.
But then it was when he decides, in the end, that you kind of almost see that switch of, well, now that like now this is my daddy, like
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
right,
And I'm interested to see where it goes, especially now, because I mean, the way this episode ended, that Maroney's the other family, right?
right.
Okay. So
Sophia's got to know something's going on.
yeah, because that woman showed up and before they pulled up and she's like, "We've been watching you."
Right,
And then, who knows what was said before they had them on their knees with their hands behind their head. Like
right.
we don't know what was said. And then, Otto Oswald had just had
House of Dragons
just
getting us.
right. He had just apologized for betraying her, and we're in this together, blah blah blah. And then they get jammed up. He gets in the car and he's like, "Go. What about Sophia? Leave her." I'm like, "Well, you just undid everything you said 10 minutes
Right.
ago." I
Right. Like
got your back. We're in this together. Oh, nope, leave her. We're getting out of here. This is a two-seater. Sorry, you understand.
it's like, and how are you going to explain that later to her? Like the amount
Yes,
of groveling and
because she already doesn't trust you.
right, which you would think throw her in the car, like he'd grab her. Like again, this is one of those things where it's like he's thinking immediacy and like,
Hmm.
oh, this is not going to be great because like you're gonna because you didn't kill, at least I didn't see it, you didn't kill the lady,
No, just the
and
one guy.
just the one guy who had the gun. And so it's like, so you're just gonna leave those two alone together to chat
Yeah.
about you?
But the things I feel like even if they had killed her or run her over, I think by the sheer fact of them pulling up and saying, "We've been watching you," and then whatever she said after, like,
Right,
you thought you could cross us, or so, whatever she said,
right.
the fact that they pulled up and spoke directly to Oz means that they have had conversation
Conversation. Right.
and you can't be trusted, which is how she felt at the beginning. And then she started to trust him and bring him in, but she still kept him at arm's length. And then there was the whole thing about her being turned in, and she said, like, I don't know how I can go back to trusting you, blah, blah, blah. And now this, it's like, I don't feel like no matter what you do, like, it does not matter what you do going forward,
Right.
she will ever believe you.
But then I guess that's why where there's 8 episodes in this. Again, I'm gonna get this one and Agatha confused because one of them
Yes,
has
this one
nine, one of
has
them
eight,
has eight.
Agatha has nine.
Okay, okay. I completely forget that every single time. Yeah, but I mean, I guess next episode is the okay. Well, this
Six.
is there were only three. Why did I keep thinking that this was four? So I guess this was only three. So we got four, four, five, six, seven, eight. So you got five more episodes. I mean, like, yeah, that's a lot of. I I think it would be a huge mistake to have her die so quickly in the middle. Like, I can't. I imagine that. You hate to make any theories of like who makes
I
it to
was
the.
trying to think. I think Vic is gonna die. I don't know. I think unless he's a character that we
I
don't
kept
see
seeing
coming.
Bagman, and I know there's like a Bagman in DC Comics,
Okay.
but I was like, I don't think that's because he's like some mystical. And I was like, oh, this is pretty like that's
Yeah, this is
not
pretty
that. But I was like,
grounded.
every time they use a name, I'm like, who is this one? But I'm like,
Yeah, I feel like there has to be a death that will shake some people up, and it could be Sophia towards the end.
I
I'm
don't see how you
trying to.
don't. I don't. Unfortunately, I don't see how you she either dies or she goes back to Arkham. Like I don't see how you have her around for the next Batman movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Because she is violent,
right?
and while they are working together currently, there's no way that she and Oz can coexist long term because they both want the same thing. So
Power of
while
that
they are
family, right?
teamed up right now, there's no way that they can be both coexist. And I think one of them is going to die or be sent back to Arkham or shipped out to Bloodhaven or something. But yeah, I don't see how she fits into the next movie. So
I yeah, I don't but I mean, which is kind of funny because they mentioned in that movie that they were releasing people from Arkham. You know, they were
yes,
releasing prisoners, which I mean, you've got the Riddler in there and the Joker now. So it's like,
I have said for so many years, I could dig tweets up from like 10 years ago. Bruce Wayne really wanted to help Gotham. There's a lot of different things he could do that didn't involve breaking the jaws of minimum wage criminals. You
right,
could improve the security at Arkham. You could improve the conditions of Arkham. There are so many things you could do starting with Arkham, and instead you hang out on rooftops and think about your dead parents and beat up criminals. Like,
right.
oh, they're releasing people from Arkham. Hey, Bruce, why don't you use 1/15th of your fortune and fix that?
Yeah.
Just do that really quick. Just go ahead. Just go knock that out.
Make sure that, prisoners aren't being abused.
Right. Yeah, you go improve the staff, you go improve the security, maybe
Just spitballing
yeah, just a few ideas, just a
right
few
off the top of my
ideas.
head.
Yeah. I'm sure if we sat down we could really think it through. But yeah,
Which is kind
I'm
of amazing because like how are they going to explain his I know this is getting now into like the sequel for Batman, but so far, like how are you going to explain He's just not around.
I thought, like, I know he was referenced in the first episode when they were showing like the flashbacks of the Batman with that through the Penguin's eyes.
Okay.
But and on the radios and on the TVs, you hear about the mayor and the flooding and the
Right.
madman that ruined the city, but you're not hearing about the other guy in black that
Saved the
was
mayor?
beating up criminals in the scaffolding and saved the mayor and was on TV in the daylight helping people. Like he hasn't been like I get that they don't want this to be a Batman show, but if
Sure.
you're mentioning the Riddler, you're mentioning the floods, you're mentioning everything involving the first movie, they should at least be like, and then the Caped Crusader or whatever, like something that lets you know that he's out there. I'm fine with him not being around for the shootouts and the stuff happening at night
Sure.
because Gotham's a big city, plus he's dealing with like the fallout from the flood. Like I'm fine with all of
Right.
that, but he should at least be referenced in some of these episodes. And again, I
Absolutely.
know it's still early because I think this Batman, the Batman, I think was within year one, not the year one comic, but just like that
Right.
Batman year one. So I get he's still new, but he's around. And again, he was very essential to the entire first movie. So
Ooh, the mayor. I mean, like he literally saved them a
he had a
good portion
flare and
of people
everything.
of the
People saw him.
people.
It's not like, oh, he was in the shadows. Like, no, he was in the daylight. He was helping,
Right.
he saved the mayor, and then he was there in the daytime, which again, that was like the whole big thing about the Batman and the ending is that he was the light that Gotham needed in the dark, but then also in the light. Like, yeah,
Right.
I just feel like they tried way too hard to not reference and make it a Batman show
Right.
that they've like completely taken him out. And it's like one of you has to say something at some point and just
Hmm.
mention, oh yeah, what about that one guy that beats up criminals and took down the Riddler? And for as important, like the whole reason why this power vacuum is happening is because Falcone got shot on the steps of the bar. The whole reason that he was being taken out in cuffs is because of the Riddler and Batman's song and dance they were doing that movie. Like the whole reason for this shift in power is because of something that heavily involved the Batman.
And I mean, like he was at the police station with a whole bunch of
Yes,
cops.
yes. It's like to not be mentioned once.
Right. Like,
Uh
okay.
that
So
yeah,
again, like we said, we get that they're trying to not make it not use not just rely on Batman to make the
right.
show. Like they're trying to make it a very separate Penguin. But again, like see something even on the radio just saying like,
Exactly.
when everybody's wondering where's our where's the Cape Crusader that helped us from the flood. I mean, like you could do that just for the fact is you can just acknowledge he's not around because he's not clearly around. Like I don't know how much crime has like does he wait till like numbers hit a certain level and then he gets involved or
Not to
because
mention, the Penguin saw him face to face multiple times. Like I was like playing that movie back in my head. You
he
had
even
the
laughed
car
at him.
chase. He laughed at him. The El Rada, a lot of things. Like
You're
they had
right.
conversations with
And
the
he's not
main
afraid of
character
him.
of this show. Yeah,
And he's
like
not afraid of him right now. Like
yeah,
he's handling all this and he's going about his business unafraid of a huge
you were
bat
carrying
out
a
there.
dead body out into an alley at night. I would have been a little bit afraid. Like, hey, maybe that guy that
Is
snuck
on
up
the
on me.
roof
Yeah,
staring at me.
no, that guy, he doesn't exist. No, I've had multiple conversations with him actually.
Mm-mm.
When I was yeah, you just as you're dragging the dead body out, just
Right.
be looking up like something.
Right? Like, oh, I better like bring this guy out of, into the alleyways where Batman is known to lurk.
That's where he's known to hang out. Yeah.
Like that's, but I mean, Well, I mean, like I am interested in, like I said, I don't know if it was rumor or just just to get people to watch show when they said that like this is not required, but required viewing before the second Batman. So we'll see where it go. I mean, it's a lot. You still have a five to go, so
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes. Now, and it will. I mean, we already talked about Batman. Did you see Agatha last week?
Yes. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Um,
What'd you think
I
of
had a lot.
they're really milking the hell out of this song.
They are.
I did think of you when they did the whole rock song. I thought, well, I know the first time he thought it was a banger. I wonder, will he be
I
like, will he think it's still a banger, or will he be like, all right, guys,
no,
that's
I still enjoyed that one as well. I am enjoying this show. I am.
I am
And
too.
I just because and I was going on a walk today and I was thinking about this show being I don't want to say having a female lead. This is like 99% female cast versus She-Hulk. And what I said last week was Agatha and WandaVision showed you that you can make a non-traditional superhero show. You can put your own twist
Sure.
on it. And I was thinking like this is a female-led show,
Mm-hmm.
and as far as I can see, it's been being pretty well received.
Sure.
And then I'm looking at She-Hulk, that was a female-led show and was just dragged through the mud. And I think some of it was harsh and unnecessary. But even if you ask me, I did not love that show. There were a lot of things that they did wrong, and I get they
Right.
wanted to do their own thing, but it's like, what's the difference between these two? And I think it just goes back to good writing, good storytelling, knowing the story you want to tell and like committing to it and just having a plan versus
Plus,
yes,
I will also inject not a lot of source material. So
very
people
true.
can't.
Very you can't ruin it.
Right. Well, you can't have people constantly going back and making comparisons to
That's
information
true.
that's already out there. Which, I mean, like again, even if it was bad, again, even if it was bad writing, you would still call it out, and and it would be obvious. But I think sometimes that does help.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, definitely agree with that. I like the format so far. Obviously, you had the setup episodes, or yeah, setup episodes. But these last two have kind of shown the Wizard of Oz format that the road is different sets of challenges that are going to test each person
All
and
the
challenge
trials
each
for witches,
person, all the
right?
trials. And I like that even though it's not now that you see what they're doing, so it's in that way predictable, it's still very unique. It is very focused on telling that story. I love the details of the framing when they get into the house. I love the outfits that they've picked to fit the area. I love the outfits because they look great on all of them. Just
Right. Oh, I am sure.
phenomenal.
I am sure in this last one you were. I. When I was like, oh, I know he's gonna love this episode
I love this.
yeah, I Aubrey looked so good. Oh, speaking of what, we're gonna talk about the one thing that I texted you about that episode.
Yes. And it was so true.
I was more upset about them breaking up the possible kiss between Catherine Hahn. Yes, we were right there. Like I was like, oh, this is what. No, I can't. I guess this is what blue balls feels like. Like oh, I'm being
And
denied
it
here. Like
wasn't forced. They built it up throughout each episode. And then when she like is pulling herself out of the dirt, I was like, oh, okay, this is the green one. And then just a little bit more and a little bit more. And then in the sound studio and then the end of the episode, I'm like, you're really going to do this? And by do this, I mean not do this. Like
I
And
couldn't believe how
if you were worried
close.
about backlash, I was like, you've been leaning into this since the first episode. So people that are going to get pissed off were already pissed off. You might as well just take it all the way now.
I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I told you at that time that it was worse. It was worse than Secret Invasion.
Yes,
That their
which
denial of letting those two make out was,
it was right there.
I mean, like I don't even think I would have cared if it didn't fit into the and didn't fit into the
I
storyline.
would have
Like
been
even
fine.
at that
There would
point,
be
I was
zero
like,
complaints.
oh,
Yep, there was zero
like
complaints.
man. At least on House of Dragon, we got that.
Right. That one
Which,
caught
like
me off
again,
guard.
Kate.
That one was unexpected, but I
Yeah, no,
wasn't
I
complaining.
knew when I saw Aubrey in her 70s outfit, I thought, "Ugh, Will is having the time of his life
They
watching
walked
this."
through the door and I was sitting there with Sarah and I forgot what I said exactly, but it was something to the effect of this is a great show and this is probably going to be the best episode. I just think we can all agree we submit this one for the Oscar
Mhm.
for best or whatever the TV awards are.
Emmys,
Like
yes.
the Emmy, like all the Emmys. Like
Didn't have anything to do with a very, very low cut
I,
outfit on
I don't know
her.
what you're talking about. Just the writing of the show.
Yes, that's what it is.
No,
Not the cut.
not the costumes. No, I think it's again, like I said last week and the beginning, is the show necessary? I still don't know, but I'm kind of at that point, what, 4 episodes in now, maybe? Is it four? Yeah. Four
Mhm.
episodes in. I'm kind of like, unless you flatline,
Right.
I am caring less and less if the show isn't necessary, which like I said last week, even though I still wasn't sure it's necessary, I was still enjoying it. Me saying I don't know if the show is necessary does not immediately mean, oh, I can't
No,
enjoy
absolutely not.
it. But they have made their own path. Like you said, there's not a lot of source material. There is still some mystery involved. I am very curious about the son, or not the son, very curious
Well,
about the person that they're framing up to be the
the
son,
teen that they're calling the
the
teen.
teen, which
Yes,
is just
because
every
they
time.
did. I mean, spoiler alert for people that haven't seen it, please go watch it. We'll pause. When she said he's not yours,
Yes.
I was like, oh, I mean, like, but I think like again, I don't know if we should talk about the Funko Pop reveal. Like,
Yeah,
give a
because
break.
it
Like, if you don't want to know, if you haven't heard, there are the Funko Pop kind of revealed who Aubrey Plaza's character is, and also possibly the teen.
I so the Aubrey Plaza one, the first video and tweet that I saw gave me no warning. So I heard
Sure.
it and I read it. With the teen one, I haven't I the video I saw was like spoiler, we might know who it is. So I swiped. So I
Mm.
still don't know who the teen one might be, but honestly, we're talking about it. I'll probably open Twitter and see it like the next time I open my phone.
Okay, so you didn't watch the new Rockstars breakdown?
I did. Did they talk about who the teen might be in that one?
Well, they didn't, but they showed you know how in the Funko Pop boxes it'll have the characters, but it'll have like all the characters
Oh, I
from,
did see that. I did see that. Yes.
so
I
he is
forgot.
listed. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did see it.
I did see it. Now that I think about it, I just had moved it to the part of my brain where I didn't remember. I did see that, which is interesting.
Which
Curious.
we kind of suspect. I mean, I think you
We
feel
did.
everybody kind of suspects that that's who it is. We don't really want to say it right now. Maybe we'll wait a few episodes more into it, but I think everybody kind of suspected that, seeing as they've built some of the show around Scarlet Witch and
Yes.
Wanda Maximoff. So I mean, like I mean, if, it probably won't be too big of a surprise, but I mean, like, you can probably guess who we're talking about, but we just not going to say right now.
Well, and then the
But
breadcrumbs that they were dropping with the dialogue referring to Aubrey Plaza's character. Like as the teen was bleeding out and the camera pans to
sure,
Aubrey Plaza and Agatha's like, don't, or
right, it's too soon, or you're
yeah,
here, like yeah,
you're
either right, you're here
here.
too soon, and just
Yeah, but
don't
then
take him,
when
or
the teen is bleeding out and dying, she's like, please don't.
right,
As if Aubrey Plaza's character had something to do with him potentially
Dying.
dying,
Right.
which like so the breadcrumbs for her are pretty
There.
obvious at this
Right.
point. Goes back to what I said last week. Thanos, I get it.
Right.
I'm on your side. I would
Which
have
is
done the same
interesting
thing.
again, because I mean that's a handful, well, three cosmic characters
Yes.
in the out in
So
the MCU.
there's potentially her. There's Eternity. What was the
And
other one?
love. Love is the other one.
Oh, yeah, it's true. And then you've got the Watcher, even though that's only in the What If universe, so I don't
Right.
really know if that one counts. But yeah, it's interesting that a show about witches would potentially be including
A cosmic entity.
a cosmic being.
Which
But I
again
mean,
makes it kind of like, okay, because if she is in fact that person, and again you've mentioned Mephisto, that is, I mean, again,
yeah,
make it relevant. Don't say these as just one and done and you're never gonna hear from, like, you've put it out there now. Like you've put it
hmm
out there. Like Mephisto has a pretty sizable story
yeah,
connected to Doctor Doom. So
yes,
like to just introduce him about the same time that I mean, like it wasn't that long ago that you just announced, Doctor Doom is coming. Like just don't fumble it. Don't fumble it. Don't fumble
yeah,
it. Don't fumble these characters. Don't fumble these characters. So,
yeah,
but yeah. So, I mean, we're going to leave it there because I think we've got our reactions from the Penguin. We're both really excited. We're both really excited about both shows. They're both very
yes,
good, very different. We're excited to see how they both end for their series.
hmm
There's no huge we don't feel like there's any huge missteps. We wanting to see how it ties into the bigger universes that they might be a part of, but we're willing to sit and judge that when
yes,
those final episodes hit. So
yes.
yeah. So I mean, I guess until then it's halftime. I'm
Okay.
gonna yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's the stunning score of 6-3. They both
Yes.
just only kicked field goals. Once again, Chris Boswell is Team America for the
Yes.
Steelers. So, anyways, on that note, we are going to say bye. I am going to click the right button this time,
Yes.
and we'll see you all later. Bye.
All right.